What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another five-hole recap video for the Stanley Cup Finals Game 2. Aaron, how you doing tonight, man?
Oh, man, I thought I was watching the Rangers game tonight. My goodness. But it was a good game until about the third period. But other than that, I'm doing all right. I finally get to see my face.
Yeah, it was definitely I thought it was a close game to start. Probably the first two periods were definitely closer as the game went on, but third period it seemed like everything just kind of opened up. For those who are just joining us, the Florida Panthers won tonight 4-1 in game 2, putting the Florida Panthers up in the series 2-0. Aaron, what did you think of the play for the goaltenders? I know Bobrovsky, he had a little bit of it seemed like he was a little off his game at the start of the game. Skinner seemed like he was on point for a little bit, but what were your kind of takeaways from the goaltending for the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers tonight?
Well, for Bob, I actually did not expect that easy squeaker from Ekholm to go in. I was like, "Oh, is he going to let us some easy goals?" And then he just turned it up. He was like, "Nope, not today." And then Skinner, like he was playing on his head for pretty much the entire game. I think the first Rodriguez goal, I was like, all right, he could have maybe had that. And then the Mikola goal, there was nothing he could have did about that, just because everyone was kind of like blocking his way. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, I'm just surprised that Skinner not fading in this series, but it's like you could stop the young stars team. But then this Florida team is just a whole different animal, and even like I said, in the first game, check that one out for iSports. The blue line has just not been helping out Stuart Skinner at all. Like, this is not Igor Shesterkin. Mm-hmm. This team cannot let him out to dry.
No, the one thing I did notice about Stuart Skinner tonight, not as much Friday or in game 1, but tonight I really noticed that he had a hard time really figuring out where he was at on the ice or in his crease, like going from east to west. Like if the Florida Panthers were going more lateral, it seemed like he had a hard time like tracking the puck. I don't know if you noticed that a lot during the game or whatnot, but it just seemed like Skinner had I don't know if it was just he was focusing more on the play at the time and he lost train of thought and just was like, oh crap. But luckily for him, I mean, every time they had a chance on those certain plays, they didn't end up making it into the back of the net. So those are things that I think Skinner definitely has to improve on if they want to do better in Edmonton for game 3 and 4 Wednesday.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just hope the home crowd helps out Stuart Skinner, because if they go down 3-0 against this Panthers team, I think it's going to be a sweep, and I want Oilers in 7. But the way that the superstars are playing is like, I think McDavid had one shot. I mean, yeah, he had an assist, but nowhere to be found. Draisaitl, nowhere to be found. Evander Kane, nowhere to be found. And that is an X Factor guy right there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, now Stuart Skinner, he hopefully the home series helps him a lot, because Florida is definitely a tough atmosphere to play in. But hopefully it doesn't wreck his confidence.
Yep. With previous game where you saw Edmonton come out guns blazing, had I think it was 20-something, 28, 29 shots on goal, and you saw Florida barely getting a chance to get shots on goal. Tonight was more the opposite, where it was Florida getting a bunch of shots and Edmonton seeming like they very rarely got a really shot on goal for the first couple periods. And in the third period, they got a few more shots on goal. But, I mean, between the first two periods, Florida kept them to 7 shots to the net. And then they finally got 12 in the third. But, going back into Edmonton, do you think that – I mean, we've discussed numerous times in the previous episodes of Five Hole where – this Florida team is just so hard to play against. Do you think with the amount of shots that we saw tonight and how usually Edmonton comes out better after losses like what we saw in the Dallas series, is this something that may come into effect coming into Edmonton with playing at home for the Oilers?
I mean, I hope they don't do 2 shots on goal because I think at one point it was 15-2 Florida in that first period.
Yeah, I think it was. There was one point it was like 9-1 or 9-0 on shots on goal, and they finally scored on Edmonton scored on the first shot of the night for them for their team.
Yeah, with Ekholm. So that needs to change dramatically. I mean, all Oilers have to do is watch that Rangers series. That's exactly what was going on in the Eastern Conference Finals. Was the Florida was doubling the shots on Edmonton. I think they finished off with 19 or 20 shots on goal for Edmonton, and that's not going to do it at all against this Panthers team. So they need to get it together. Hopefully Connor McDavid channels his inner Wayne Gretzky up in Alberta and just goes off. Because I think once that starts, I think everyone else will kind of fall in place. But it was just pretty shocking, especially after game 1, that Florida was pretty much suffocating all of these guys and they're just controlling their zone. Like, they really didn't have to do anything. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit crazy how Edmonton's just kind of died off like hardcore in this game.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned it earlier. It seems like they're playing a lot like New York did kind of in the last series against Florida in the Eastern Conference Final with how, I guess, Edmonton's big players have been. I mean, tonight we saw Bouchard really struggle on the blue line. It was probably one of the worst games I've really seen of Bouchard in a long time, and not even him. The whole team seemed like they were not really. I mean, there were points where Edmonton was coming out and really taking it to Florida in the third. At one point it was 6-on-4, and whenever they are getting towards the end of the game, but I don't know, they just seem like they are very out of their feel or out of their style of game right now. And I think if they don't want to get swept, they're going to have to figure something out whenever they come back to Edmonton on Thursday.
Yeah, Wednesday. Because they broke off a 5-minute major. They killed that penalty. Like, the special teams was very good today. I mean, obviously they let up their first goal on the penalty kill, but the penalty kill was fantastic. The only problem was they were always in the penalty box, Edmonton. So that wasn't really helping them at all in this game. And yeah, pretty much what you're saying. Like, I think they need to put the Drysdale McDavid line going into Alberta for games 3 and 4. Like, something needs to get shaken up. I mean, Evander Kane needs to wake up. I said Adam Henrique needed to wake up in this series, and as Evander Kane needs to wake up in this series, this is a speedy team. I don't know why they're not using their speed to their advantage against this Panthers team. It's just crazy how all of a sudden it just completely changed the game once they weren't making any shots. Like, it's just mind blowing. But yeah, they need to get together on the offensive side, because as we've seen from the Florida Panthers this entire series, they are shutting down the best players in the game, and Connor McDavid is the best player in the game. He cannot shut him down.
Yeah, and I think I don't have it up as of right now, but let's see. For McDavid tonight, he was kept
He did have an
to
assist.
shots on goal. He was a +1, one hit, and 25, almost practically 26 minutes on the ice. I mean, him, Draisaitl was 2 shots on goal, one hit. It had 23 minutes on the ice. And I mean, yet again, kind of like what you, me, and Brandon talked about on, see, when was it? Saturday. These guys that are playing 25, 26 something minutes that they heavily rely on, they're seeing not very much production from them, and it's going to hurt them. But I mean, one other thing that we've noticed really a lot in this series is the power play and the penalty kill. Tonight, they everything almost went over until Florida got that last power play where they finally were able. Edmonton went 0 for 4, and Florida went 1 for 6. I mean, with the power play and the penalty kill, how this is going in this series, where everybody is shutting everybody down, how big is this power play goal for Florida if they can continue to get past the secret of the 1-3 zone defense that the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill has been?
Well, I know that Florida pretty much was stepping up on their power play from games 3 on in the Rangers series. So now that they have a power play goal against Edmonton, I think they're going to start striking more coming up, because Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett are very good on the power play, especially Sam Reinhart. So I think they're going to use him a little bit more, just kind of press on Edmonton. Edmonton is looking pretty slacking. I think they're 5 for 30 now on the power play. So that is not going to help beating this Panthers team. That's for sure.
No. And I mean, up to this point, they were 34 for 35 on the penalty kill up until this game. And I mean, now that puts them at what, 39 for 41 since they gave up the one tonight. So it'll be interesting to see, kind of like what you just said. It'll be interesting to see if that gives Florida some extra momentum or extra pep, knowing that they were finally able to get past Edmonton's penalty kill. Maybe we'll see more power play goals possibly going into games 3, 4, and beyond, or I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What do you think on it?
I mean, they have Paul Coffey, and he knows what he's doing. They've been doing it all year long. It's just what Sunny Days Jerry was saying in the group chat. This Panthers team is just suffocating this entire Oilers team on their penalty kill. So they need to figure out something. They need to figure out something quick with everything that's going on. Just because the penalty kill for the Oilers is only going to last for so long, and we saw that in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I keep talking about it, but it's like so eerie how similar it is becoming in the Stanley Cup Final of the Eastern Conference Final, because they're literally following the Rangers playbook, and it's not going to work. I guarantee it. You'll lose in 6 games. So, but no, I mean, their special teams are good. They just need to step up on the power play, and that's going to start with your superstars, with their top line. So I think they needed, like I said, they need to do Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins can play the center, get that going. Just because I think combined, I think Draisaitl and McDavid have had, I could be wrong, like 10 shots on goal these 2 games, maybe less, and that needs to change dramatically if they're going to stay in this game. Well, serious, I guess.
Yeah, because combined tonight, McDavid and Draisaitl had 5 shots on goal, I think they were relatively about the same for game one. Bouchard had 2 shots on goal. Nugent Hopkins had 0 shots on goal.
Their
Kane had
best guy was
0.
Kulak, and he had 5. A defenseman who I think
Yep.
plays the third line had more shots on goal than
Yep.
everyone else on this team. You're not going to win games. I think
Yep.
Matt Tkachuk alone had 5 shots on goal.
Sorry, what?
Well, I was just saying that Matt Tkachuk had 5 shots on goal alone for the Florida Panthers, and Brett Kulak, who's a third line defenseman, had more shots than McDavid and Drysdale combined. Insane. You cannot do that going forward. But Bobrovsky is just too good, and Sunny Days Jerry said he needs to get drug tested because this dude's playing out of his mind, and we didn't see that last year until they put him in. What was it, Game 5 against the Bruins, first round?
Yeah. But, I mean, going over some of the things that Jerry had for us, you already touched on a little bit of it. Obviously, Bob, he more or less said he'd need to be drug tested because this is unreal play that he's been doing in these playoffs ever since. It seemed like from the first series, whenever they took him out and put Stolars in, and whenever they went back to Bobrovsky, it just seems like he's been playing completely different. The Panthers have been suffocating the team, even though the Edmonton Oilers have been able to do different things to get through their defense on some parts of their offense for the Oilers, but it just seems like once the Oilers get into their zone, the Panthers are able to get their back check or their defense going to where they can get on their forecheck and just get back going onto their side of the ice. And just touching on a little bit, I mean, yeah, we've had some parts of the series where the Panthers we have seen them get pretty rough in the series. There were times where it seemed like a little bit of dirty play. Tonight, it seemed like, I will say, the Oilers had their little bit of a stint, it seemed like, for a little bit, that they did get a little bit more physical. They had a few times where they had some iffy moments.
Did you think that
one question
was a 5-minute major? I don't think so. That should not have been a 5-minute major.
Personally, like watching the replay over a couple of times and going back and watching it after the fact, I probably wouldn't have said yes to it if I wouldn't have seen whenever right before contact, he looked like he almost like brought his knee, like tried to intentionally put his knee into the Oilers player's leg. So to me, that's why I almost feel like it was warranted, the 5-minute major and the game misconduct on Fogle. So it'll be obviously we saw Luosterainen come back for the third period, which was good. But with the one question I did have with the injury that Barkov got towards the end of the game, whenever him and Draisaitl collided, going into games 3 and 4, if say Barkov does come out with a concussion and he's going to be out for a significant amount of time, does his absence affect how the Panthers play? Even though he's been tremendous on the defense for this team, he's an awesome forward for the team. Do you think his absence will have any effect on the style of play that the Panthers have going forward in this series?
I mean, who's covering Connor McDavid? Barkov's been doing pretty well on that, and Connor McDavid's a fast guy, and Barkov is pretty much keeping up with him. So who covers Connor McDavid? I think if that happens where he can't play and has a concussion, I think that's where Connor McDavid's going to emerge and just start going off, because he's one of the fastest skaters in the world, and Barkov has been on top of him like the entire 2 games in the series so far. So I think that affects tremendously for the Florida, more or less for the Oilers, but it would definitely hurt the Florida Panthers.
Yeah. So because obviously he missed probably the whole second half of the third period after he got hit. Whenever him and Draisaitl collided, he went off for the rest of the game. Didn't return back, but they're still able to come out with a victory and everything. I guess with that, what do you, after seeing this game and last game, are you kind of staying with the same prediction that you've had, or are you changing your prediction up with how this series has kind of gone up so far?
I'm still going to stick with Oilers in 7. If the Oilers get to chucked up in Edmonton, I might have to switch to Florida, just because there's no way Edmonton's coming back from 3-0. Not with Stuart Skinner in goal, not with the way the blue line's been. So, yeah, it all depends what's going on with Game 3. But if Barkov doesn't play and Edmonton wins this, I think we're going to have ourselves a series.
Now, with that being said, do you think with the level of play that Stuart Skinner has showed in the first 2 games, do you think whenever we come back or whenever they go up to Edmonton, do they stick with Skinner, or do you think they go to Picard for the third game with how Skinner has been playing?
No, you need to keep Skinner in. This is a Stanley Cup Finals. If it was like the first round, like if they were doing this against the Kings, I'd be like, all right, like that's fine, like switch it up. But this is a Stanley Cup Finals. You got to ride the ride. And I've been known to get on Darnell Nurse's case just because I personally don't think he's a good defenseman. I think he only played 1 shift, and unless that changed, but I don't remember seeing him much on the ice. That blue line needs to step it up. I mean,
he played for a couple minutes at the start of the game, and then he was on the bench for a significant amount of time. But it looked like he played, I guess, a little bit in the third period, because it shows that he played 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Oh, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Jeez.
Yeah,
that's yeah. I don't know what was the problem, because all they said was that he was just on 1 shift and they haven't seen him since. So he needs to dig up deep inside of him and help out Stuart Skinner, because again, he's not a Vasilevsky, he's not a Jeremy Swayman, he's not Igor Shesterkin. This guy cannot stand on his head the entire game. So Evan Bouchard is having a horrible Stanley Cup final so far, making dumb mistakes with getting the puck out of the zone. So he needs to step up. Everyone on that blue line needs to step up hardcore to help out Stuart Skinner. But again, no, I wouldn't change Stuart Skinner. He's the reason why they got there, even though he was benched for 1 game in the second round. I still think they need to just ride the ride.
Yeah. Kind of switch gears a little bit, and we'll be on for a few more minutes. What did you think over on the Panthers side with Rodriguez and how he's been playing, getting goals in the last 2 games? He hasn't really been known for as a guy that's been really getting a whole lot of goals during the regular season, but he's been getting goals in each of the 2 games in the Stanley Cup final. How big is it that he's come out and contributing, whereas guys like Reinhart, who's had not a whole lot going already this series, Tarasenko, he's had a few moments of the shine, but not as much as like Verhaeghe, Rodriguez, Lou Riisterainen. I mean, these are all guys that have come up big so far in these first 2 games. But aside from that, how did you feel about Rodriguez coming up big for the Panthers in the first 2 games of the series?
Well, all I can say is can't believe he recovered that well from that horrendous Jacob Trouba hit. I can't believe it. He must have drank some Michael Jordan go-go juice, and he's got it going. No, I mean that's what you want though. That's what happens in the Stanley Cup playoffs in general. You always get these guys that you wouldn't expect that come up being the hero. We saw it in the Dallas series before they lost to Edmonton, where it was Wyatt Johnson, Jason Robertson. They were pretty much controlling the game, scoring the most goals, the most assists. So I think that's good that there's not a lot of pressure on the Florida Panthers with these superstars because again, Vladimir Tarasenko, one goal, and it was the right. I think it was one goal. It was the game winner in Game 6, Eastern Conference Finals. Yep. Matthew Tkachuk, he has been pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? Invisible.
Yeah.
Ever since Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, sure he's been racking up some assists. Haven't seen much goal scoring for him in the last two rounds. So I think that's great that there's guys like Rodriguez. You can't really say Verhaeghe's a bottom tier guy because he's pretty good ever since he was with Tampa. Mm-hmm. But we've seen Mikola, 2 goals in the postseason so far. Yep. I think the last one was against Tampa. So it's just like guys like that are scoring. I mean, even I keep going back to it, but like Barclay Goodrow, didn't expect him to do anything, especially after that regular season. Playoffs, switch just turned up. So that's what's great about the Stanley Cup playoffs is that the guys that you wouldn't expect just show up and it takes less pressure off of the main core guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would agree. I mean, the more contributions that you have throughout any part of the playoffs, whether it's the first round or the Stanley Cup Finals, if you don't have to solely rely on your big guns in order to get goals and contributions to where you can win games, and that's aside from having top-notch goaltending, that's what's going to win, or goaltending, defense. If everything is working in line with itself, you're going to potentially win games. If the other team is getting along the same lines, it's going to be really difficult. And we all thought that that's how this series was going to go. We thought it was going to be very back and forth, especially with how Edmonton has played in the series prior to this one. But the way that Edmonton has been playing, it's not like how we've seen them play. And if they want to go any farther in this series, then they need to get stuff going back in Edmonton, or else they might be looking at a quick exit.
We don't need to see that. We don't need to see a quick exit from this team.
I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not being biased, even though I am more on rooting for the Panthers side. I'm not being biased with this. I'm just saying how it is. If they want to stay in this series, they need to get some guys going aside from McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Hyman. Either those guys need to step more up in this series than what they have, or they need to start getting guys like Kane. I'm blanking right now. I don't have all the list of names in front of me.
If you want to say Ekholm, even though he scored today.
Henrique, Janmark, Brown. All these guys, they need to have a little bit more contribution from them if they are looking to get farther in this series. I'm still sticking with mine where my prediction, I think I was at Panthers in 7. I could see it going 6, but especially with how things have been playing out, I still think Edmonton will figure out a way to bounce a little bit back in this series. They were at this same exact spot against Dallas where they're down 2-0, I believe, and they were able to come back and win it in 7. So nothing is out of possibilities for this Edmonton Oilers team. It's just got to be a matter of time. The stats and everything kind of go against them, at the moment because the stat line of what I've seen, it's the team that wins the first game of the series is won the Stanley Cup 75% of the time. Now, if you go up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals, I think that percentage has gone up. But I mean, it's totally up in the air still. I think with this team and everything, I think they'll still somewhat come out, make an adjustment and everything. But kind of round off the show, what do you think your prediction will be for Game 3 in Edmonton on Thursday?
Well, hopefully they bring back some of the 90s Oilers or 85 Oilers team, just maybe get a spark up in there. But I'm going to go with Oilers 3, Panthers 2, like I said last game.
Okay. I think I've been heavily on the Panthers, but I think for Thursday, I'm probably gonna go Edmonton as well. I think it'll be kind of more the same lines as kind of was tonight. I think we're gonna see goals. I mean, we've obviously realized now that if it's 5-on-5, anything could happen. I'm gonna say 3-4 or 4-3. Edmonton Oilers are going to take it in overtime.
Ooh, little Zach Hyman the Pyman action, game winner.
Possibly, you never know. But if you guys stuck around to this point in the show, please go like, subscribe, comment. We try to do as much as we can for you guys with hockey content and everything else with the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, with Aaron and Jerry with the Blue Shirts Banter. They come on and join us on these shows all the time. So we are very grateful for you guys coming on and joining with us. And we give all the good content that we can give our viewers. So thank you very much for joining with us, Aaron and Jerry, who's not with us today, and also Brandon, who couldn't make it tonight. But stay tuned, guys, for another episode of our recap shows. We'll be going again probably Thursday night after the game in Edmonton. It'll be a little bit later of a show because their start time for Thursday's game is, I think, 8:30.
Dang, because that's like 5:30 at Edmonton, right? In Alberta.
Yeah.
Whew,
Yeah, like that. So it's going to be a late one. So I'm going to do my best to stay up and get whatever notes I can for the show, and hopefully we'll have Brandon and possibly Jerry on for Thursday's episode. But thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next show. Peace.